Them niggas scared to make that move, can't relate to that. I roll the dice, shit, if I lose, I'm gon' be shaking back. Cause lessons learned within the loss just elevate the fact that trial and error just the only way, ain't no escaping that. I wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out? True to this game, and I'm a lifer, ayy. Feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy. That's the most success, you know we thriving, ayy. That's the most depression for our rivals, ayy. Could teach a lesson on survival, ayy. You know I'm from the bottom.
What's good, everybody? Your boy, David Bellard, 1/4 of the Black Wealth Renaissance crew. Here live in H-Town. Season 4, last edition of the H-Town edition. You know how it's coming, you know how we doing. We had to bring back another guest that we already had. Legend. H-Town legend. Hey, the Uncle BWR kicking game and giving people everything they need to know about real estate, man. But before we get into everything, fellas, how y'all feeling?
Feeling good, man.
I'm feeling good.
I've been excited about H-Town, man. We had a great time. Great guests, great energy. H-Town been treating us right.
Hell yeah, man. Having some good food
Welcome
out here.
to the H. Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Grubs and the vibes on point in the H, for sure.
Next time, we going to hit somebody up before we book an Airbnb.
That's what we've been taught from this trip.
Tap in with your people, man. We're going to take care of you.
It's a lesson in that. we got the network, but we thought we could just book it by ourselves. Hey, listen, tap in with your people because they got a lot of people that know way more than we do about anything.
Yes, sir.
With that being said, man,
yeah,
we'll be able to get this podcast rolling. We got our man, Mr. Tyrone McDaniel. Tyrone McDaniel, I'm sorry, I didn't mess up the name,
anything
dog.
after the T, bro, we good. Dog, homeboy, what it do, all that, we good.
If you haven't been listening to the podcast, he was on an earlier episode of it. And like David said, he's a real estate extraordinaire. And he really just ran down like game, how to find you some good contractors, how to get things done. But the projects that he's been working on since the last time we talked to him, they just been wild.
Crazy.
Been in the game for 17 years now.
Yeah,
so it ain't no bullshit, ain't no fluff. So we just want to say welcome back to the show.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Problem.
For sure.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here, man.
It's always. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, you good.
I was about to say it's always great having you on the show because OG come with that energy. Like he'll teach you some shit about building some homes and then he'll bust your head and some bones on the side.
Yeah, it's a blessing though, man. It's good.
Oh, man, thank you. And for anybody who hasn't listened to the podcast before, can you just give us a brief synopsis? Who are you and like how'd you even get into the game?
Man, I was probably like a lot of people that's, going to watch this podcast. Was exposed to, infomercials, things of that nature. Saw people that said you could invest in houses, and I just felt like if they could do it, I could do it. And so bought courses, tapes, stuff like that. And so, and ultimately met a buddy of mine, and I became a loan officer because he wanted to own a mortgage company. So that was what really got me into the space. I'd always wanted to do it, and I felt like when I was presented with an opportunity, is a proper way to phrase it, and I took advantage of it. So for me, initially, I became a lender, which helped me learn the finance side so that I could get to some of the cool stuff we do now.
Man, that's dope. So one of the first questions I want to ask you is, we've seen what you've been doing. Like, how do you scout out and find some of your properties? What you using, like wholesalers? Do you have a certain criteria? I know you I see you on Twitter. You like, I like them ugly joints. Like, give me that one. Yeah. And then you turn around, you freak it out. The designs be crazy,
like modern, ridiculous.
Yeah. So, the way I source most of my projects, I always believe in you got to figure out what your advantage is going to be. And so to me, I like to study an area. I think in any kind of business, you got to figure out a market. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I look for inefficiencies in a market, which to me, that's an opportunity. So what I found is in the hood, there were 3 types of properties: dilapidated properties that were either falling down, they were vacant lots, and then there's functionally obsolete houses. So it's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 4-bedroom, 1-bath, or a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that's 500 square feet. So there's something weird about them that makes them not able to function how people need houses to function. So over a period of time, my buy box became I'll buy any old house that you'll sell me for land value. Because that means the structure in essence is free. Now, in major cities like Houston, you can't get a permit to build a new house in a month. It takes 3, 4, 5 months. You can get a permit in a day or two, a week at the most, to renovate a house. So you got 3 to 4 months of lead time that you lose if you're building a new house versus if you're renovating an old house. Now, old house is more difficult. It's a bigger headache, but it's also 9 months, not 9 months, 90 days of time that you save yourself in. We all know time is money.
Thanks.
And so most of us are using leverage to do real estate. So let's quantify it. So if you're buying, let's just say your mortgage is $60 a month, $60 a day, and interest is what you're paying to the lender to have that capital. Well, $60 a day is what, $1,800 a month. So 90 days is $5,400. That can make or break a project.
That's facts.
So that was why I started to look for old houses. And so getting to where they start to come from, I buy off the MLS, I buy from agents, and I buy from wholesalers. I'm not one of those people that believe you can't buy off the MLS or you can't buy from wholesalers. Most people don't know how to negotiate. So if you don't know how to negotiate, then you think that you can't buy from these people.
So I see the designs. Where do you get some of these ideas from? Are you working with an architect? You got a team of architects, or you just be watching?
Are you the architect?
It'd be modern.
Ironically, I took drafting in middle school for a year, but I'm not an architect. I'm really self-taught from a design perspective, so I don't have a degree in any of the stuff we do. I have architects that work with, so I have my own design firm, Urban Vintage Design. So there are architects that work for us that help us execute our projects. But really, me doing design, to answer your first question, I'm always looking, is what I tell people. So like anywhere I go and out. So we went to New York. My son had never been, so I went to New York. We took him to New York. But my reason for going is I'm gonna go study real estate. I'll be in New Orleans next week, Saturday. Well, yeah, I got a meeting there. I got a project in Baton Rouge that I'm gonna meet on Saturday, or Friday. But Saturday, I'm just walking through the French Quarter taking pictures. When I'm in Baton Rouge, there's a community in Lafayette that's built on, I forget what it's called. But the last time I was there, I saw it and I didn't get to walk it. I got to drive through it. Well, something that I saw in one of those houses, I'm using on a house we're going to build an acres home, which is not far from where you guys are right now. So I'm always looking. Anywhere I go, I'm taking pictures. I'm walking around. This is funny. It's podcast worthy. So my wife's from Kansas City. So we went to her brother's wedding. And it was at this brand new development in their event center. As soon as the guy said we do, they walk down, everybody go to eat, boom, I'm walking around the neighborhood taking pictures because I'm always looking. So they eating, drinking, I'm around the neighborhood doing a live, taking photos. And I saw a particular design that we're going to use on a project that we're right now getting the land replatted. So I'm always looking for ideas all the time. I was searching architecture in Austria and Scandinavia because I wanted to create a modern version of a brownstone because we can't build with just a stone and mortar because it's way more expensive. So now I got to figure out how to do it with hardy plank and some other type of facade that's less expensive because we focus on affordable housing. So I take concepts from houses that are $600,000-$700,000 and figure out how do I use that in a $200,000 house. So that's really my biggest strategy. I find a muse that's way more expensive than if my house is $250,000. Okay, let me go fall in love with an $850,000 house, and I'm gonna take two elements that are gonna be so dominant that it grabs your attention and put it in this house.
Man. So that's how you're taking these old homes and like renovating them and making them look like something new and modern.
Exactly. It's a fusion. So the reason our company is Houston Vintage Homes is because I always draw inspiration from what's already there. I asked myself, what did the original architect or designer have in mind when they built the structure? The only problem is this house doesn't operate like it should in today's world. So I'm going to bring the modern stuff, but I'm going to fuse it with what's there that's vintage, that's still dope. There's a lot of old stuff that's still dope. So let's keep the stuff that's dope, take everything that isn't, and now add some new dopeness to it. You know what I mean? So it's a fusion of new and old.
I got a question with it. So you said that like your focus is primarily affordable housing, right? and you're taking sometimes, kind of dilapidated homes and taking them and making them modern, making them nice, taking like you said, the nice elements from these $200,000, $800,000, whatever dollar homes and bringing it to the more or less to the hood.
Yeah, exactly.
How are you doing this and still keeping it affordable? Because some people are gonna hear this and be like, "There's no way that's possible." Like, well, you got to be a slumlord to make money, right?
Right. Well, you can do good doing good. Number one. So that's the first concept. The second concept is, a lot of times it means that we'll make less to deliver a product. I mean, if I'm honest with you, and I can shoot straight on BWR. The reality of the matter, what I tell people is this: affordable housing means you're willing to accept less to deliver a quality product.
That's real.
Now, something that Ian said previously, I heard, and that was impactful to me, but I can appreciate, and I'm going to say it a different way, is most of us aren't self-aware. See, most of us think we're money motivated, which is the connection to the previous conversation. My life changed when I figured out I wasn't money motivated. I'm not motivated by money. I'm motivated by impact and touching people and creating something that's going to outlast me, because I lost people early in my life. When you lose people, it causes you to value certain things in life. And so what do I have from those people that I lost? The memories that we had, the experiences that we created around their relationship. My canvas to express that is real estate in my hood and other hoods that I have an affinity for that are like Fifth Ward, Third Ward, Sunnyside, all around America.
I kind of wanted to get into is a lot of your investments in Fifth Ward?
Yeah, because that's my neighborhood. I used to dream about owning houses in my neighborhood. The mission of my company is to reshape the face of inner city America one home at a time. But it started with reshaping the face of my neighborhood one home at a time.
That's powerful.
That's real.
And so I focus on neighborhoods that are like mine because, and you didn't ask this question, but I want to express it or convey it. To me, I ask myself, going back to the market and studying and analyzing the market, what is my strategic advantage? See, there's certain parts of Houston where I walk looking just like I look right now, and somebody's looking a little antsy. There's other parts of the city when I walk like this, and hey, what's happening? What's up, Ken folk? All right, I see you over that school. You know what I mean? And so why would I go to the area where I'm looked at awkwardly versus going to the area where I'm embraced and now figure out how to be successful where I'm embraced at?
Plus, the area. Plus, you've lived there, so you know who's lived in this house, who used to live in this house. You know the area that you're investing in. I think that's very, very important.
Most certainly. And what happens is, to knowing our areas, is now you have context. Okay, so if you find a deal, let's say, you find a deal in the area you're not familiar with, now you have to rely on other people to give you data and their interpretation of that data to make a decision. But if you're from that area, even outside of the data, you have a context that the data can't convey. So you remember when this restaurant used to be there or this used to be there, that they just tore the school down. Nobody else knew it, or very few people know it, but or it's getting torn down and redeveloped, but they hadn't put the sign out yet. But because that's your hood, you be around, you still got homies or people that you in tune with, you find out little stuff like that. So we know all this type of stuff about our area. This is what's funny. People will look at progress and stuff and they say, oh man, other people are coming in doing X. I remember I used to tell everybody knew, but what did we do? One of my biggest mantras is, don't tell me your opinion, show it to me in action. Have something more than opinion. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, I kind of digressed there, but yeah.
I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that though, because that's a point. Like I try to even make with people in conversation about different stuff like that. Like I'll talk to them about like, okay, my interest is financial literacy, educating people on that and helping people with it. All right, how do you see that within the actions? Well, this podcast right here,
exactly.
The brand and the platform that we built, the advice and the help that we give to people. But it's like somebody might be, you feel very strongly about this particular topic. Have you ever done anything to help with it? You care all in the world about homelessness when it comes to talking about Jeff Bezos paying his taxes. But have you ever went to a soup kitchen? Have you ever donated anything? Have you ever went to a drive? Well, do you really care, or do you like to sound like you care? You know what I mean?
Because you think it makes you sound like a good person.
Yeah, it sounds
Facts.
good.
Word. And my mama told me, bro, 7 lips will tell you anything. I mean, so I'm not interested in what your lips doing. I'm looking at your feet and your hands. You know what I'm saying? What actions are you taking? Only reason we're here is because you guys are taking action, create a platform. Then you reached out and said, hey, yo, this is what we're doing. I came out and supported, but you would have never reached out to me if I didn't have some type of body of work.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, and so that's a testament to what we're talking about is, opinion is just something in your head. It's what you do with that. How do you actualize that? What kind of, to me, certain stuff isn't worth the breath that it says for us to say it. Because if there's no financial investment or energy investment behind what you just said, what do you have? Just like we were talking earlier, courses and tapes and materials and stuff like that. It's not that education is bad. Nothing's wrong with none of the courses or content. It's what are you really going to do with this information once you get it? It's only knowledge, and it'll stay knowledge until execution happens. Then and only then does it become wisdom. I've done it before.
Oh,
That's true. And that's how you gain wisdom.
That's a bar.
Through the execution. You know what I'm saying? It's the lessons you learn. I'm not. I tell people I'm not successful because of anything I drive, wear, built, and or done. I'm successful because I know success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal or goal. You're successful because you're continuing to go after your goals and the things that truly drive you. Another point we talked about earlier that I didn't truly speak on in depth is understanding what motivates you. So bringing that back to my neighborhood and things of that nature. There are other areas. Yes, I had an advantage in my neighborhood because I'm from it and other neighborhoods like it. But the reality of the matter is I can make more money doing what I do in other areas. So now there's a conscious decision that has to be made. And what made it easy for me to do what I do the way I do it is I figured out I'm not motivated by the money.
You care about what's going on.
Yeah.
I care about
See, I like when I walk into the store and he said, "What's up? Buy back the block." That's what the little homie called me in my neighborhood. One of the little homies that I see is on one track, and then one day he see me hopping in the truck with some material in the back, and he said, "Man, they told me you buy houses." Oh yeah. Well, how you do that? He started inquiring. See, that to me means way more than an extra 10 grand on a house.
Because you're making that impact. You putting it in their face and helping plant that seed that's getting them to work and like really want to take action. Because like you said, the little homie asking, who knows 2 years down the line, he might buy his first property in the same neighborhood.
Listen, when I wanted to get into real estate, it was one of the OGs from my neighborhood, a dude named Anthony Frank. I used to drive to his project and just watch him. He let me. I asked him, this, that, and the third, how this go? Do this, do this, do this. This is what's happening to you. So we had, there, just like he did that for me, that's part of my duty. You know what I'm saying? And so, these aren't brand new concepts. It's just, I've always been a person that felt like if it's up to me, it's up to me. You know what I'm saying? If I really want to see something, like there's no shortage of people today to tell me, man, I remember you told me this was going to happen. Yeah, but what did we do about it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm on the do side of things. And so, yeah, man.
I've got a 2-part question. I consider you an OG in the game. I'm sure you
Appreciate it. Thank you. I take that.
How has real estate changed since you started? And then my next question is, where is it going?
Sure. It's going to, so in my experience, real estate has changed because, see, there wasn't a podcast when I was trying to, see, it's easy now. It's just like, I don't want to keep referencing the previous things. So I don't know how the protocol is for that. But needless to say, it's cool. Okay, cool. So, like, I posted about for instance, I'll post something and a person will say, what is so-and-so? To me, the same energy is Google. Yeah, you just ask me what is an X.
You can do the exact same shit
in Google and it'll
right.
Tell
or
you.
Y'all get DMs all the time. Hey, how do I start a podcast? But yes, Google. But actually, then you can click a link in the same profile they found you.
Well, we got a course
and use your money as a tool to open a door that DM can't. Why? Because you're busy. So this again, you got to analyze the market. So if I see a successful person, I'm not in your DM. Why? Because everybody's in your DM.
And they all asking the same thing.
Right. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go and engage in your content. And if you engage, right? If you don't engage, you got a product. Okay, let me buy your product. I will be back in Louisiana. The reason why I'm in Louisiana is because a person had a product that I never met and I bought it just because they're a person and I want to support them. I never talked to them. I ain't say, hey, I bought it. No, all I did is posted it and said, this is dope. I just bought it and other people bought it. Now, I never even made contact with the person outside of supporting their product. They say, hey, come to our city and speak. That me coming to that city and speak, now I'm finna design a project in that same city because of a person I connected with in the room after the back that I'd already knew, we had talked, had never met. So once we met, chopped it up, boom. It took me, so somebody will see me doing something in New Orleans, in Baton Rouge, be like, how'd that happen? This $50 course I bought.
That's all it took.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't DM and say, hey, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Most people that are DMing anyone, all the content that they're looking for is already on the timeline. That's the other thing. Like a person would DM but hadn't engaged in none of your content.
Ain't even go scroll through the page.
Right. But you asked me a question we've already answered on the timeline. You know, so I'm not saying don't DM people. I'm saying lead with value. You know what I mean? If that person has enough knowledge that you value for you to DM them and they have a product, why wouldn't you buy it first? Then that, to me, that now sowing and reaping is a principle you can't. You know, it doesn't matter if you believe in it.
It's laws of the universe.
It's a law, exactly. So why not sow first so that now you put the onus on the universe and whatever you believe controls how things work to make the return come back. You know,
can't skip past them type of principles. But I do want to expound on that, son. Like especially like with black people, I feel like I get on this every time. But I think niggas really don't like paying for knowledge, bro. Like we really think shit should be free.
It should be free.
Why should I pay for this? Why? Like I think, and this is just kind of one of my personal beliefs. I think it's rooted in like self-hate, kind of some of the stuff we were talking about with Ian, right? The things that we're marketed aren't things that are positive about us. So low key, we have these feelings toward one another that like,
why would I pay this?
Why
nigga
would
to
I
go
pay
kick?
this nigga? Why would I pay him? Because like the same shit, like how my daddy always told me, like we'll think the white man ice colder.
word.
The same shit a black man can teach you, you'll pay a white man for. Because
with no remorse,
you ain't gonna ask no questions. You ain't gonna complain. You ain't got nothing to say about customer service. And I mean, obviously, we can get into the whole thing with black businesses and all that other shit, right? But at the end of the day, it's a self-worth thing to me. It's like if you not leading with value, like you just said, Tyrone, like if you're not leading with value, do an exchange. Word. What's wrong with making an economic exchange? Because at the same time, it stimulates this person's economy. We talk about the Black Wealth Renaissance, and I know we really big on highlighting entrepreneurship and this big movement that's going on right now. But like that's another part of it that we can't pass over. Like that part of us working with each other and helping one another build by spending money with each other. Word. And like really investing in each other's knowledge. Like that's so beautiful what you had mentioned with the young homie, man. Like that's the type of shit that really would that makes a difference. That's impact.
Exactly. And I mean the other benefit to why it's important to support our people without any type of connection is because that support then allows them. Most of us really have a giving heart. We really do. As a culture, we're givers. What happens is we suppress that part of us. And so what happens is when you see people that are successful, the benefit to supporting these kind of individuals is because they're doing stuff that's impacting other people. So you're supporting what they're doing is really perpetuating that message and more greatness, which gets to the point. Like this is a multi-pronged issues that we have to face when we start talking about culturally some of the issues that we face. There's no one solution. So we got to hit it on a whole bunch of different levels. So you guys are doing it from a media and a podcasting space, and that's touching, because now they're saying, man, damn, they on there just kicking it, being real, just, you know, and it's tight and it's dope. And people are learning and being impacted. Well, that's impacting folk. And the cool part about when you're doing things like what you guys are doing here is you can't measure the impact.
That's real.
Like you can't quantify. You can't tell me how many lives you touch.
No.
Even when they give you the strail, y'all had this many streams
we got.
Nah, but see, that's not impact.
They don't tell you
That's not
impact.
impact.
See, how many times did somebody hear something that David Ballard said and they on the block tell, man, let me tell you what this dude said. The dude may have never found BWR. They may have never made that connection, but some you said was a gem that got carried to another cat. Like if you look at culture, that's how our history got passed down.
Hey, that's real.
That's really
You can't
really
measure
real.
it. I had a mentor say this: you can't measure the magic. You can't manage the magic. That's why impacting lives is so crucial. It's a butterfly effect.
You know,
Man, hey,
always kicking that
straight,
straight
because like, and even a person like just anecdote to go with that. Like, I was chilling with my girl, and she was telling me about something that she had seen on Facebook. Long story short, this dude who had interacted with one of her posts had mentioned that basically like he was helping her, telling her about some different ways to enter tech. She's trying to get into being like a tech project manager. Okay, cool. Right? So he was giving her different resources, different stuff like that. Come to find out on some full circle stuff on what you was talking about, he got his entry into tech from listening to us.
Wow.
Been a fan from the podcast, been fucking with all the stuff, and then he just like, yeah, here's all this stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy how you'll never know who you'll impact or who you'll touch and how you'll help maybe their career change, maybe their investment change, like how you will impact their life, and then they'll even be able to pass that along even further. Like it's crazy.
And was, to me, the crazy part is that one came back full circle to where you were aware of that impact.
Think about how many times
it don't. Yeah. And you don't even know it happened.
I knew that's where you was going. And, like, I want to expound upon the other thing where you're saying, you know, just stimulating the economy. Like, with us having giving hearts and everything, once again, with what you said, sometimes people don't want to pay because they might be like, why am I giving this nigga money? But you don't understand, like, once you give to that mission, we're able to expound upon that mission. I'm going to put this out in the universe right now. We're hitting 10 cities this year. Yeah. We need the capital to do it. So we need support. So we straight grassroots. If you could see what's in here, like, we done all of this shit ourselves. Like, off the muscle. So, like, if you support people that you see are actually genuine, people that's not just trying to flex on you, you're able to give to their mission so they can expound and really just explode that message or really take it to a place that you never even know. And plus, it gives back to the community because, once again, like you said with Lil Homie, you don't know what little child, what person, who we might be able to touch and impact off of you buying this service. And plus, it's not like you just donating, you getting a product from it.
Yeah, you are getting a product. Right. I kind of want to talk on it. So, let's just be real. How many DMs have we answered this year of people answer and just asking a random question you answered from the page?
I ain't gonna lie, this year I haven't done it.
Right.
Since 2022 started?
Since 2022.
Like 2, bro.
Okay. How many times has somebody bought our product and messaged us on Podia and been like, hey, I got a question.
They get priority.
That's the point. You spending dollars with us. We have more interaction we have more want to interact with you. Right. Not only that, once you do that, you have access to us.
Mm-hmm. And plus, it don't just come as an Instagram. Like, that become...
Directly to our phone. You need a question. Okay, let's answer that. But that's just my point is spend the dollars with us. We are more willing to help you. And it's not just us, it's with everybody else too.
You know, my wife says this, and I believe it's true, but culturally we haven't been teaching, or we stopped teaching how to network. And so we don't culturally now, the younger generation is getting a little bit better at it because of social media. But just even still, okay, we'll meet one another, but like there's still different levels of networking. I was at an event that wasn't in the culture, if you will, and I was blown away about how they was playing chess because all the right people was in place. But that's because they understand networking. So they say, okay, we want to do this. Oh, well, so-and-so does this. So they patronize so-and-so that opened up a relationship. Oh, what do you do? This is what I do. That's interesting. Tell me more. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Versus coming in there and say, hey, will you help me go over here and make $10 million?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lead with value.
Right.
I'm glad you even said that with the networking thing because we have put networking events together. And we got a homie, Will. And Will was like, you know, this is something that you can do to enhance your networking event. It's like, group them by industry. Put everybody that's in the same industry, like, color coordinator or something like that. So now it's not just like everybody's mixing and mingling. Everybody in real estate, they got this green dot on them. So now you know, okay, everybody in real estate need to be right here because this roofer can connect with this developer, or if they're in like the personal finance area, like just grouping them like that. So even like you saying how they patronize them, like start really being intentional about what you want to do and the connections you want to make. So I just gave y'all some free sauce if y'all want to do a networking event. But like, just really start to be intentional about the connections and things that you want to get done.
For sure.
Yeah, I know we just went off on a hell of a tangent, dog.
I did have a question earlier too. Okay. It was actually related to the permits because you pointed out a good difference between them. Like the way why your strategy is your strategy when getting these permits and things like that. What are like some of the costs associated with it, and like, is it multiple permits to get these type of projects done, or is it just like that singular permit?
Got you. So generally, it depends on the extent or the scope of the work of your renovation. So here locally, and what happens in most cities is you're going to have a general permit. So, that's just to cover, that doesn't cover any of your mechanicals. So that permit covers if you're fixing windows, paint, flooring, roof, stuff like that. You have your mechanicals, which are your plumbing, electrical, and your HVAC. And then you have, which are all 3 separate permits. And then you have, generally, you're going to have a driveway permit as well. So those are specific. Now, with the driveways, you can still do that under the general permit. But with the trades, you have to have those individuals pull a separate permit for them. And so in cities like Houston, I forget what the dollar amount is, but basically per $1,000, it's like $10 or $5. And so the price of your permit is tied to how much your project is. The next iteration, so that's just a basic renovation where you're making a house nice, doing plumbing, electrical, AC, foundation, roof, make it nice. Then if you're doing an addition, now you're going to need plans. Or if you're taking an existing home and you're moving load-bearing walls, now you need plans. So you got to pay all those fees. But in addition to that, you got to have someone like myself that's a designer or an architect design what you're doing. And then the engineer is going to need to stamp anything that's happening structural. So now you have the permit fees. And then in addition to that, you're going to have some soft design costs that generally are going to be, somewhere between probably $1.50 to up to $3, $3.50 a square foot, depending on the complexity of the addition.
Okay. So, and when you say, the permit for like a driveway, that just allows you to know what parameters you're allowed to operate in?
Well, the code dictates what your parameters are. So so your driveway has to be a certain width based on the code and or your community and your street. The permit is how the city generates revenues for improvements or being made. Basically, so they're a fee. So they're all just like
it's damn like a tax.
Kind of, sort of like a tax, exactly. And so it's a revenue generating tool for the city. So and it also kind of keeps people in compliance because, if there's no rule in place, then people will do anything. So to speak.
That's true.
I got you.
So as much as I like less permitting, we do have to have it. My issue with permitting is cities have to become more efficient, but it's a whole nother conversation.
Way too bureaucratic. There's no reason you should have to wait 90 days.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this conversation with senators and mayors and individuals like that because of some of the things we're doing now. And they'll, ask, of course, hey, what can we do for you? What can we do to make more developers come and do? I said, well, I need, I'm mentoring and working with a developer right now in Mississippi. The primary reason that got me really excited is because in their city, you can get a permit in a day. I'm like, no, you got to be lying to me. Like, you don't understand. We're building a whole new house. And they literally got the permit in a day. You shouldn't now in a city like Houston, you can't have that, but we should be able to permit a new construction house in no more than 60 days. In major cities like Houston that have a deficit, especially when it gets to affordable housing and stuff like that, there should be some barometers from a time perspective that allows us to get affordable housing and smaller housing approved faster. But that's not the case. So it creates a bottleneck. It makes it harder to finance. And then there are other issues that are going to continue to exacerbate why affordable housing is the issue. So, but get us faster permits is what I always tell mayors and people like that.
That's a good point that you just brought up as well. That like the power of owning real estate and doing what you're doing, like having those connections with people in politics. I think too often we kind of overlook the importance of local politics and things like that. Can you speak more to like how being how ownership has granted you those opportunities?
Man, so honestly, I never saw any of. I just like old raggedy houses in the neighborhood. Like,
I like them ugly things.
Yeah, like that's, I love designing new houses and building those too. That's fun. But I have a Superman complex. So like I see a raggedy house, I want to save it. You know what I'm saying? So I want, but and so that was always been my focus. Now the reality of the matter is real estate is one of the most impactful industries that you could be involved in. So when you renovate a house, a lot of people ate, and so by virtue of doing that over and over again, now people, if you're the mayor or not even the mayor, excuse me, if you're a council person or legislator in a certain district or something, you see, dang, well, they just took, 5 properties that were generating the city, $300 each. So that's $1,500. Now it's 5 houses over there. They're worth $200,000. In Houston, that's about $3,000 a year. So you go from getting $1,500 to $15,000 in tax revenue. You want to reach out and touch that person who just put $15,000 into your district.
Right.
So to your point, again, we can have opinion, but the way you can move stuff is by taking your opinion and putting your money behind that opinion. So once you start to have these opportunities, what I had to accept is that I have no political aspirations. It's not my space. But I had to start taking some of these meetings with these to do stuff because that's how you make certain that there's only so long I can play at the lowest level and engage how I want to engage. And you have to start opening yourself up to the governing bodies that rule the area so that's how you can have bigger impact. Like it doesn't mean nothing to fix a house, but the street's jacked up. We don't have enough lighting. We haven't done it cohesively so that we didn't displace people. So the bigger picture is, networking and making sure you allow yourself to be a tool to bring good to the neighborhoods that you want to serve.
That's dope. And you said something about, like the levels and stuff, and that kind of want to bring me. Can we explain what does it look like to actually be a developer? Like, do you have to start off as a real estate agent? Do you have to start off in another part of real estate to become a developer?
No. So I think, no, you don't. That's the cool part about the marketplace we have right now. Like there's so many developed verticals. So there's no shortage of real estate agents that work with just developers. There's no shortage of lenders that finance all types of development projects. So the money's there, the intellectual capital is there, the framework and infrastructure is already there. So it really starts with developers are people who have vision, they're creatives, and they're people that are comfortable operating in a great space, in a great area. Because you're taking land and you're buying it, or you have a preliminary approval that when you go design, do X, that they're going to allow you to, get a permit and build it and so on and so forth. So it's important to understand what the true role you're going to fulfill as a developer is. But with that being said, you can literally create a team. Real estate's a team sport. So you have an agent who's very good at finding land based on the area you have and the criteria. You have the lenders that are development lenders, and then you have the construction team that's going to help you execute it. The developer there are many developers that never walk their projects after when it's doing construction because their vision is, I'm going to see take this land and develop X. I'm going to put an apartment. I'm going to put 5 houses, 2 houses, 3, 1, put a duplex, mixed use density product. And then they put all the pieces together. That's the developer's job. And his job is to manage the manager. So you have the vision and you engage all the people that are going to execute the vision. And then you just manage that process to the end. So you don't have to be an agent, but it's good to have that knowledge base. Whether you outsource it or if you have it internally, you can probably make decisions quicker. You know what I'm saying? If you learned lending, like for me, I wanted to learn those verticals so that now that's a skill set I have in-house. And now I can turn around and monetize it, going back to the multiple streams of income that you have to have. But if you have the money, the capital, and or the vision and the guts to stand behind what you dream, you can just start at the top of the food chain as well.
So go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, like, ideally, or just in general, what would that number kind of look like? And I know it would change based on like by the place and certain things like that. But like, what would that number look like if somebody wanted to come in straight to develop?
Okay, so in this area where we're at right now, to use this as a primary context, and it would be most impactful for you guys because you've been around this area. We can buy a lot around here for somewhere between $80,000 to $100,000. On that lot, we can build a duplex that's going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That'll be about let's just make it affordable. So we're going to do one that's 1,250 square feet each unit. So it's 2,500 square feet right now in Houston, we're probably penciling stuff at about $90 a square. So 2,500 square foot at $90 a square is 180, 45. So it's 2 and a quarter. So you're in it for 2. So let's say you paid 100. So you're in it for 325. It's worth about 380.
Okay.
So you making
roughly
about 55.
Yeah, you'll make. Yeah, I mean those are probably over here is probably worth more like 400 really. So yeah, you got about 75 to 80 minus your carrying cost, which 90 to 100 gives you a little bit of margin for carrying costs and some overages. But yeah, I mean, you're not. That's not a home run. You're not. Most people think you make way more money. Well,
I mean, that's still a salary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why people do. That's why you see developers buy a lot and do 10 or 20, because with the amount of time and work and effort to just build one. Sometimes you're not making as much money as you may like to make in that scenario, which goes back to affordable housing. And one of the first things I said is you're making a conscious decision to make less. That's why there's a lack of it. Because in a market like this, why would I go and build a house and make $70,000 if I can go and make $150,000?
When I know that
I just put it in different areas. Over here, it's affordable. Exact same house in this other area with 2 or 3 different things change. Now it's worth, way more. So
if I'm a young developer trying to get into the game, what is the biggest advice you could probably give me?
I would say, so the cliche basic answer would be to, educate yourself on the space. What I would do is, to me, I'm big on understanding a market. Like what most of us want to do is try and figure out 5 or 6 different areas. One of the most powerful forces is the laser. Why? Because all its energy is concentrated in a space. So I would say go figure out an area that you want to build and develop. Because see, if you're a developer, the lot that you find today, you're not turning dirt for, in most cases, 6 to 9 months to a year, depending on the size of the project. So you need to understand what's going on in that area, or you get into another issue that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, which is what we call risk mitigation, or the stress associated with investing. So Ian talked about peace. Like, it does you no good to make 50, 60 grand if you land on side of, if when you're asleep, you can't even go to sleep, or, you with your spouse or your partner or whatever, you can't even enjoy them because you're thinking about this deal or this project, because you're stressed about the money that you're either not going to make or you're scared of losing. So when you are an expert on an area, it helps you now make decisions and manage the project minus stress. So I would say focus on an area. Don't try and focus on the whole city. Focus on an area where you have a strategic advantage, and you can, and when you focus, now it makes it easier for you to learn all the data you need. Now it makes it easier for you to make the proper connections, because you can want to build something, and depending on where you want to build it, there may be some opposition, which may mean that either you start networking to put yourself in a position where the opposition would like or want your project to come to pass, or you go to an area, like, for instance, if you do your research, you figure out areas where there's no deed restriction, there's no HOA. Guess what? There is no opposition. So why go over here and fight this battle when I can go over here and it's carte blanche? I can do almost whatever is permissible. So that's the beauty of knowing an area, studying an area. I have someone I'm working with right now that has a project, and they wanted to build 2 duplexes. Only problem is, in this neighborhood, they will only let you have a single family house. And it's not like it's some great area, but this is just some rule that they put in place 50, 60, 80 years ago. But they didn't know that before they bought it. So now what can they do?
Jeez.
Damn.
So now they whole numbers thrown up, huh?
Exactly.
So where do you find that type of information, like before you buy the lot?
Sure. So the first thing, again, if you're not an agent, you want to work with a good agent. And so it depends on where you're sourcing a property. If you're sourcing it through the MLS, it's generally going to list whether it has an HOA and what type of restrictions they are. But what supersedes that, I always tell all new developers, and this is something I could answer your question, go down to your city permitting and planning department. Go introduce yourself. Go down there and shake hands, kiss babies. Hey, how you doing? I'm so-and-so. I'm interested in being a developer in this area. That is the cheat code that most people, if you're watching this podcast right now, you want to build or develop houses. I challenge you to go to your local city and go and introduce yourself to whoever handles planning and permitting in your city. Those people will give you literally millions of dollars worth of game for free.
Gems.
That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, because once again, we live in this digital age. We live in this era where people kind of forget that, like, old school shit still work. Like, shit worked like this way for a long time. Like, for a reason. Like business was done this way for centuries before. And, like, we think that now because we have computers and information and Google that it's always the better option, but you can never, ever discount the power of having the right people in your corner.
Like, you know, you shooting an email over, okay, I wanted to learn all of the city of Houston's criteria around green building and energy efficiency. I could have shot the guy email. I went down. This man, now guess what? He's a fanatic about what? Green building. Why is his job? So I go and ask open-ended questions. I had this real simple principle I employ. It's an acronym called SDUSTN. SUSUTN. Sit down, shut up, take notes. When I'm around people who have the knowledge, the wisdom, the insight I desire, all I'm doing is asking open-ended questions. I don't ask questions that you can answer yes or no. I ask questions where you got to filibuster for 4 or 5 minutes. When you taper off, I ask another open-ended question. So I go down to the city. I say, hey, I'm a builder, but I don't know nothing because that's my strategy. I don't know anything, but this is what I want to do. Tell me what our city does about green building. Hour and a half. I got pages of notes. This guy told me, oh, you want your house to be energy efficient without spending a whole bunch of money? Just do these 5 things. Put this in your house, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now your house is 30 to 40% more efficient than the next builder that builds a house that looks just like yours. They got all that same stuff, but he didn't pick these things. And it didn't cost me more money.
Wow.
Just rattling out. And I'm saying this is his job to do that. Every city has a guy or a person and multiple people in case that their sole job is to help the city grow. Like in most cities, you can go in major cities, like in Houston, we have what they call planner for the day. So let's say you find some land. You don't know what can be done there. You can go down to the city and they'll tell you, this is what the code says. Yeah. So you didn't have to have an agent. You had to spend $20,000 for a course. You just go down to the person who actually go to the source, you know. And so go down to your city like it's a wellspring of information. Can't impress that enough.
I kind of want to ask about pro formas as well, because is that something that developers need?
Most certainly.
Break that down to us.
The math has to math. Like the math has to math. So pro formas, you know, really, so you have your budget. So that's what it costs to do. That's what it costs to build it. But then the pro forma gets into, you know, the holding costs associated with it, you know, and all the other ancillary costs that are going to happen from the moment you say, hey, this is what I want to do to, okay, we've sold this property. So, you know, generally what I took, to me, I'm a big fan of finding someone who's already doing what I want to do at a high level and then investing whatever I need to get into their space so that I can leverage their knowledge base. And so when it comes to the math, especially when you start getting to the minutia of the math, this is where it becomes critical. Like you need somebody to give you their template. You know what I'm saying? And so put yourself in a position where you have someone that's literally going to say, hey, listen, you know, this is how I project out. Like, for instance, in our projects, if it's like, especially, well, on new construction and renovation, we always front load our budget. Why? Because that's when you're going to find most of your issues. If it's an old raggedy house, it's when we're demoing and tearing all the walls out that we find all these these surprises. So we have to front load the budget. What I mean by that is we have to pad the budget on the front side to make sure we can cover those oops. Same thing with new construction. And when you're just getting started on a new construction project, you have theft issues at all times, but sometimes those theft issues are more exacerbated in the beginning because you got $10,000 worth of wood or $50,000 worth of wood just sitting there. Guys pull up on a truck and get it. So you got to pad your projects on both of those in the front. Most people don't include in their budgets, which goes into the pro forma, the amount of time that, you know, they're going to hold the property, what their true holding costs are going to be, factoring in theft. Most of us aren't going to file an insurance claim. So you need to add in extra money in the budget for theft. So a pro forma is critical because it's going to give you a true picture of what their project should do. But you generally never hit them. That's the life component. You know what I'm saying?
And I've heard that's the sneaky one. Those holding costs. That's the one that always catch people slipping.
You know, I mean, man, you'll have projects. We have a project right now where it took us like literally because of the kind of foundation it was. It took us a couple months to do the foundation because literally every day it was raining in Houston. And what's weird about Houston, it'll be raining over here just enough for us not have to work. But you go 10 minutes another direction, it's not even raining. So it wasn't raining at the site that day. It was just raining at their house. So they ain't work. Then the next day it was raining. Man. They get out to the site. Then it started raining the day they come out. Like so there's always some elements to these projects that you're doing where you can't control time. So that's why buying a property right. When we say buy right, this goes back to becoming an expert in the area, which you asked about, because when you buy right, when you're an expert in the area, you know the area. Now you know what buying right means. You know what the right number is to pay for that property, which now helps you because most people come into development with rose-colored glasses or eyes. They think all this stuff works. Or they come to real estate investing, they think everything's supposed to work. Wrong. Real estate's a problem-solving business. Your whole job is to solve issues. The only reason you were able to buy the house is because the person had an issue, which made them say, this $100,000 asset, I'm going to accept 50 for. So you think you're going to come in and fix that and solve that issue without facing issues. Wrong. So your mindset has to be, I'm got to go out here and solve all these problems. I had a theft, and somebody said, well, how do you solve it? Keep buying more houses and making the neighborhood nicer. You know, there is no solution to people breaking in. They're going to do that.
Yeah.
Theft's a part of the game. You're going to have break-ins. It's going to happen.
Account for it.
It's going to happen, bro. It's inevitable. You know what I'm saying? You don't want it to happen. You know, we have cameras. You know, one of my buddies, every time, you know, it's funny. Every time somebody breaks in, like, he got cameras. He can see them. He talk, hey, get out of my house.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going to take this stuff before I get out.
I can give $60 worth of wire for you and them laws get here. So, like, I mean, people walk in the banks, bro. Like, so what makes you think they ain't going to come to your house and
empty house,
They fiending. You know what I'm saying?
You ain't never lying on that.
It is what it is.
That's fair.
So, about how long does it typically take for one of your projects, whenever you're doing like one of the dilapidated homes?
Yeah, the houses are really 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
You know, I'd love for them to be shorter. But, you know, I don't run I'm not, so people, everybody has what they're great at. I'm not the most efficient builder. Efficiency and speed, that's not my space. Mm-hmm. That's not my strength. I'm not necessarily slow, but I'm just like, we have a culture, so to speak. Like I'm not on my guys like a slave driver. Mm-hmm. See, I care about the guys doing the work. So I have one of my guys, I know every week he's gonna miss one day. Might be Tuesday, it might be Thursday, it might be Wednesday. He's gonna miss a day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could fire him, but guess how hard it is to replace guys with 30 years experience to do what he do. Yep. You see what I'm saying? So I'd rather take, because I know what I'm getting. So I'd rather work now. If my wife were running that, she'd fire him because it would make her mad. Okay, he was off on Tuesday this week. It was Friday, he ain't showing. Well, now he show up on Friday. It's Thursday he'll miss, right? Or Wednesday. So he gonna move it around. But for certain people, the way they run their business, they you know, and that's fine. To me, you know, it's not about how much money I make. It's the process that I go through. So if all my trades hate me, that's taken away from part of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. My guys, they want me to come on site. Oh, what's up, Hefe? What's up? Mm-hmm. Like, we have a relationship. I know these dudes. I know their kids. I speak their language. We eat the same food. So he eating pupusas, I'm eating pupusas with Milton too. I know where to get them that tastes better than the place he go to. We eating tostadas. I know a place harder than yours. I know a food truck that's colder than yours. Watch. And I show up to the site. Now tell me mine better. Yeah, man, you got tell me where. You know what I'm saying? That means something to me, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's not a dollar amount. Me, you know, one of my guys that work with me wanted $150 a day to work. I said, I'm gonna pay you $200. Now, yeah, I could have paid him $150, but again, he got a wife just like I got a wife. He got sons too. You know what I'm saying?
Plus, you over deliver, you get a little bit more out of it.
Right. But this the same guy that's gonna miss one day a week.
But he gonna do his work.
First time he met my wife, you know, first thing he said, told her that story. When I met your husband, I told him this is what I want to make. Man, he's a great guy. I appreciate him. When someone was rocky in his marital situation, I'm speaking at that event where I bought the $50 deal and all that stuff happened. I'm speaking at the event. He called me. I answered. He called me to talk to him about a marital situation. I told him 2 things. A week later, he said, man, you was right. See, I'm not a transaction to him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? He rocks with me. We like this. If I call him right now and say, bro, I need you right now, guess what he gonna do? He gonna move. Because my strategy for why I get a lot of deals from investors, they send you the deal, it's 100,000. He gonna make 30. You count the 30, or you ain't even counting the 30, but you want it at 95. I'm gonna ask him, hey, what number I need to give you the warm and fuzzies? I need 100, T. Bet. Oh, if I can make 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna lose money on a deal behind $5,000. If I was, it was the wrong deal in the first place. So why not let him eat? Now, guess what? It's another deal that's way sweeter than that one. You never get the call. Why? Because you gonna talk him down on number. Guess what T gonna do? Make sure he's taken care of. So I get deals other people don't see, and you can have way more money than me. But why he not gonna call you? Because you gonna flex with the money. Yeah. You're gonna use your money. You know that he got $5 million in his pocket, but that you can't eat off the 5. So he gonna use that 5 to squeeze you. Well, I'm paying all cash. I'm gonna close in 2 days. Let me give you $15,000 less. Keep your 15 and give me 45 days, Playboy. Bet, Ty. Sign the deal. See, that's the difference. I want you to eat with me.
A lot of people ain't willing for that.
That makes sense.
They don't want to do that.
You know what I'm saying? So I have wholesalers that send me to meet the client. They got the lead. Hey, so and so came in at this address. I go meet the lead and negotiate the cut. I say, how much you need to make on it, dog? Okay, you need 20 on this one. Okay, I give them the price that allows them to make their 20. I'm paying the 20. Why I ain't trying to get it to the 10? But see, I'm gonna get the deal. You ain't gonna ever even see the deal.
Plus, you get to walk it and really, you the developer. Like you,
it's in my hood. Yeah. I probably know the person, or know their cousin, or their nephew.
Damn, that's all.
And I want to make a quick little segue from something that you had mentioned in there. You were talking about like some of the people that you deal with, and especially that one guy that you deal with, and you like, who you gonna find with 30 years of experience that does what he does, right? Right. Can you talk about, and I've seen you talk about it also on Twitter a few different times. Can you talk about the current landscape for trades and how it can be an opportunity for some people, like especially some of the youth, to get into it and like potentially run up a bag on some non-sexy jobs, but they out there and they making that bag.
You know, this is why it's important for our culture because, everybody's not going to go to college, and even if you do, we're seeing now that doesn't guarantee you anything. Facts. The reality of the matter is, I have a developer, a mentor right now who has a tremendous career, makes pretty good money, maybe 130, 140 grand. And my biggest thing I'm working on him is getting his mindset right. Because, see, I'm so-and-so in my job and career. I got all these accolades and this, that, and the third. So you're talking to the dude with paint on his jeans and a raggedy truck. And you thinking that you got him. Meanwhile, this guy I got a boat that costs what you make annually. But see, you don't see Jose on Sunday at the lake. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never been to it. I rolled up on my landscaper at the dealership, bro. I mean, at the auction. Now, when he come to the house, the trailer look like it's falling apart. I see him at the auction. He got big infinity. I meet my electrician one day at the gas station to pay him because I couldn't meet him in time. He pull up in the Porsche truck. Now he driving a $1,500 Ford Ranger Monday through Friday. I know he doing bad based on how he look. So with our trades, there's an image problem. We're quantifying a person based on how they look on Monday and Friday, Monday through Friday. But you ain't follow them at home and see that they wife don't work. They're with all the kids and this, that, and the third. And right now, trades, low-paying trades are doing 6 figures. Like, I mean, as a framer, the average framer in Houston that works for somebody that's working for somebody, a framer's probably making $300 to $400 a day. A pretty good framer and the helpers, the guys that just pick up wood, make $250 a day.
Shit.
We're not going to talk about the electrician. Now, when we start getting into the license trade, so like painting, framing and stuff like that doesn't require a license. When you start getting into plumbing and electrical, oh my gosh. I know. Like the bag is crazy. So, we need to start having more of these conversations with our teenagers, middle school. We got to start. And middle school is when everybody started getting cool. Well, not cool in elementary, but you know what I'm saying? But in middle school and high school is where we got to start exposing them. So we've just been, through everything we do, we try and incorporate ways to, we volunteer at schools and stuff like that. And now we moved it. So I set up a nonprofit I set up a company that will be best served as a nonprofit. So we're transitioning it to be that, but it's gonna focus on getting more of our youth into the trades and start to offer opportunities to partner with investors and developers who need the work, because one of the reasons we need more labor. Like, we won't be able to solve the housing crisis or affordable housing crisis as it stands. America's short about 8 million houses. There are less than 300,000 houses on the market all throughout the U.S. right now. Compare that to early 2020, it was 700,000. So when people say they're waiting on a crash, I'm like, okay, keep waiting. There's not enough inventory to crash. You follow me? Like that. So part of that is because most of your skilled trades are older and retiring off. So we have an issue where we don't have enough people to build the houses. Then we have the exacerbating costs. So I say all that to show you how lucrative trades will be for the next, as long as people need a place to stay.
I could definitely believe that. I work in the oil field, and it's the same problem. You having where these guys that's been in the oil field for 20, 30 years, they're retiring. Now you're trying to find their sons or their cousins, or are you related to him?
Right.
To see maybe, hey, I got to find this person that has this experience, because now all the people that did have the experience, they're retired now.
Exactly.
So it's definitely a huge opportunity to find those skills and find those trades that you can get licensed in, and you can make bank for another 20 years.
Right. I mean, the service sector will be huge. And when you look at what's happening, like, like this is an Airbnb. So think about the service side or the maid side. Somebody has to clean a place like this every time. Now, that's not necessarily a trade, but just within the service sector, because trades are within the service sector. Then any kind of maintenance things, like one of the things I'm setting up now as an ancillary business to what we're doing with Airbnb is a service-based company. Because the other metric is people want to live and have the maximum amount of convenience. So that's why people don't have cars, because I can rent one versus owning one. And so I want to outsource the maintenance of my home and things of this nature. So there's so many opportunities. So that's key, because once you, like, carpentry and stuff like that is fairly easy. HVAC is probably the next easiest one. Home inspection is relatively easy to get in as well. Once you get into electrical and plumbing, it takes years to get that designation. So yes, they're very lucrative. So if you got a kid who's graduated from high school at 18, okay, by 25, 26, you got you're a master plumber, like, you set for life.
Yeah,
like, literally.
Run a business. Shit.
I mean, man, I know of master electricians and plumbers that do zero work, but they've trained a group of guys. And so they may have 6 to 10 guys that actually do the work, and they charge them $400 or $500 per permit that they pull. So each one of these guys are doing all the work, and all they're doing is collect. They show up on the site maybe to check the work, but it's permitted.
It's a permit, it's a license.
I mean, literally, they did the hard work to get the license, and now it's just printing money.
We got a division at my company that I work for. We have a division, electrical division. The person that owns the master license,
right?
He don't do nothing. He makes well over 6 figures, and he doesn't do a thing, but he has the master license. Yeah. So it's a lot of money, and when you get these trades and licenses,
they must just call them in when some shit really go wrong.
Well, I mean, his name is on the line. Of course, you have the master license, so everything falls on you. But do you have to do anything? You don't have to do a thing.
And it's all, but it's not an ambiguous thing, or ambiguous. Excuse me. I mean, it's very clear and defined. Like with electrical, or plumbing, like these are clearly defined things. So, and there are other people that check it as well. So it's not like either the light come on or it don't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that's real emphatic. So that's what also lends to the ease of being able to automate or take yourself out of the action side of it. But yeah, I mean, trades are a tremendous opportunity for those of us that hadn't figured out our career path or are looking for a career path, and or you want to be a part of the real estate industry. And the beautiful thing about real estate is it's a dynamic industry. So how you start in it today doesn't have any impact on where you will go in it. You know what I mean? My guy who does our flooring, he loves horses. So doing our flooring in our old regular houses contributes to his vision of being able to have these horses. He also got, I think, 12 properties, free and clear.
Sheesh.
Exactly. So he didn't allow flooring to be his lid. That wasn't his ceiling. Right. That was just the entrance to the bread. Once I got this bread, now I'm finna go make it grow.
Thank you for highlighting that. No, because my fault.
No, I just got one question further with the trades, because we say that's not the sexy thing. So how do we get our younger people into those trades?
Sure. Well, one, you guys asking these questions that brings it to light, and having a podcast like this, and us continuing to champion the message. It's exposure is everything. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Exposure is everything, and so what we do to try and enhance or get more people is have more of these conversations and literally talk to the kids in their neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like, there are times when kid will walk up on a job site, start asking questions. It's happened. You know what I'm saying? And so another thing we're going to do that's more strategic and intentional, though, is we're going to start having these events that are designed for people to bring their kids. And this is what I do with my son and some of his buddies that hoop with him. Like, I paid them to come do demo. And now they get to, it's to make money, but it's exposed them to it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, you could, this is what I did. We bought this lot. I show them the plans. They're like, oh, really? So this is what you do? So, so all of us, with all the collective things that we do, one of the things that we can help is always think about what kid could I expose that ride with me one day to see what I do. So,
and I think it's important that you invest in the hood. So this your people. It's your people, your neighborhood. You don't mind helping out in the neighborhood.
Nah, man,
and that make that difference too. Like when you showing that kid or explaining to him the value of these different things, or where they might be able to find an opportunity, y'all riding around and they're showing like, yeah, that's my house.
Right.
Like, that's my house too. And they're like, wait, hold on, wait, what? Or I did work on that one, or my company, did that one. Like that impacts them, especially. It's like, wait, hold up, these are houses in our hood. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, I admire that, and I definitely wanted to highlight that, just as far as that talk about the trades, because I feel like a lot of the problem is what you said as far as exposure. Like, I wasn't told in school coming up, not that I even would have chose to do it, but nobody explained to me that as an electrician I could be making what a doctor makes. Right. Like, don't nobody break that down. No, they always they always
a quarter of the
debt for a quarter of the school time, like for those kids. And I hate it. I really irritate.
And really, you ain't gonna have no debt, because wherever you're working while you're on the way as an apprentice,
you're making money.
They send you to school for free though.
Yeah.
Like, man, listen. And let me just highlight this as well, because I had an experience with one of my little nieces, and it blew me away. So, we're talking, I hadn't seen her in a while, and I was, I always ask, I kind of gouge my family. So we going to have a little, what I call a come to Jesus conversation. Let me see what's going on, what's happening in your life, like what you trying to do, what's going on with your grades, pull up your profile on social, let me see what's cracking, you know what I mean? So Uncle Ty we going to go there. And so we're talking career, and I was like, hey, so what you want to do? Now she's a sixth grader. She said, I want to be an architect. The whole world stopped for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, the whole world stopped, blew me away. Like, we went from family reunion style to, I took her out to the, luckily I was in my truck, so I pulled out plans. We're going to plan. I took sent her some home, bought her a book on it. And so there's a guy that used to hold an event for kids to teach them real estate investing. So we started doing that. But now I'm going to do one that's going to focus on the trade side of it, and not just the trades, but architects, engineers. See, when's the last time somebody told you they was going to be a surveyor, an appraiser, a home inspector? All these people eating. Yeah. They making bread. The surveyors right now, we used to pay $400 for a survey on a house like this. It's about $750 right now.
Mm-hmm. And that shit don't take but what, like 4 or 5 hours for them to do?
Let me show you what a survey. Well, it's an oversimplification. But what a surveyor's going to do is pull up a plat of the city, of your neighborhood, and look at where the house is. Then they're going to have to do a site visit, and they're looking for 4 rods in the ground. Based on land, like there's a rod in the ground that marks where it is. It's a steel rod in the ground. That's why you see the little pink flag. Mm-hmm. So they find that steel rod. Okay, here, 750. They do 4 or 5 of those in a day. Times 5.
I'm about to go because
no, for real. That's a bag.
Like, man, come on, bro. Like it's, I mean, so there's so many opportunities. So we're going to be doing more events to, locally, and we'll sponsor some of the tour dates, and we really got to get this message out to more of our youth.
Yeah, because that's nah, for real. That's the that be the main problem. It'd be like those kids hadn't heard of that type of stuff. And then if you have heard about it, and I will put this. Swapping and putting some of the pressure back on us as the black community. Anytime you have heard about it, it's go to school so you don't have to do X, or go so you don't have to work as hard as me while I do X. My grandfather, just using him for an example, I talked about him a couple of different times on the podcast, was the inspiration for me to even get started in investing in real estate and all of this stuff. His dad was a carpenter. My grandfather knew how to build hella shit. Wow. I don't know how to do a damn thing. He didn't show me none of it, because his whole thing was, and nothing against him, but I don't want you to have to do that. Right. I want you to go and get an education so you can learn it a different way. And it's although that is great, although that works, at the same time, we still have to keep that value of the trades and those different things in our. It's an option, and to keep those options open for the kids, and know the value of that too, because all these people retiring, like you said, now they looking for his brother, his cousin, his whoever, to try to see, do anybody in the family else know how to build houses?
Shout out to my boy Chris Senegal. One thing he talked about, just buying real estate isn't just generational wealth, and I was so glad when I first heard him espouse that, because here's the thing. You have to have some type of succession plan. And what we lack in our community, and not just our community, there are other communities that are affected by this as well if you start studying what's happening with businesses. But specifically in our communities, someone will go out and create something, and there's no succession plan set up for somebody else to take over it. And part of that lies in, which some Ian talked about too, is you got to balance your okay, you can't be so focused on making the money that now everyone that you said you're making the money for don't want nothing to do with what made the money. You follow me? So we have a situation where there's an image thing we need to be conscious of. So while you're out there chasing the bag, start leveraging ways that are going to attract the bag, so that now you can spend more time with the people that you're actually that you want the bag for. There's a reason why we want the bag. So who does that impact the most? Well, that's your family, your friends, and those people who are around you, and the people that are invested in your success. So there's two sides to that coin. So yes, we got to go out there and get certain things, but then we got to be mindful of how us getting those things impacts those people. And then we got to be conscious enough to figure out ways to make it more attractive. So I figured my son doesn't want to be a builder or develop, but he loves creating. So he loves design, and he loves the concept of residual income. So his thing is, I'm just own apartment complexes.
Hey, I'll take that.
Yeah, great. And so so what I understand is now, so his individual expression is going to be that, but he also understands he's the VP of operations of Houston Vintage Homes. He has a title for a reason. You know what I'm saying? And so he will, regardless of what he don't want to do, he's going to fulfill that role. You follow me? And he will understand that if I were not to be here, all of a sudden, you're going to make sure that still grows. Now, you got this other stuff you're going to do too. That's cool. So I don't need him to be me. I just need him to make sure that what we've created carries on. So those are some of the things we got to do once we start creating stuff, is create a real plan so that it really does become generational wealth versus, we made money, we had an okay house, but I don't want to do that.
That's dope.
And he don't have to be me. He just has to carry it on. I like that. That's key.
Yeah, you don't want, or we're all individuals. You know what I'm saying? So you got to allow everyone their individual expression. He has a different calling on his life.
I like that.
But that's building a legacy. That's what generational wealth is, creating opportunities.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure. It has to perpetuate beyond you. Your life was a waste. Like what you accomplished. Yeah. If everything you embody died whenever breath is no longer in your body, then what did you really create while you were here? You know what I'm saying?
That's deep. Man. Hey, Tyron. Whew, that was deep. Man. So I guess y'all had any other questions y'all want to hop in? But I'm going to ask you my favorite question. What is a personal finance tip or principle that you live by that you'd like to share with the people?
You cannot give the giver.
Break that down.
I've had people. There be settings where people say, oh man, well, like if you giving ideas or concepts or something. And I had a buddy say, man, you shouldn't say that. Somebody else is gonna take your idea and run. Right. First, most people aren't gonna do anything with idea. That's number one. But the reality of the matter is, who came up with the idea? So I come up with another one. I understand that there's your potential is what you're capable of doing that you haven't done yet. Everything I've done isn't my potential because I've already done it. So it's what I haven't done where there's the most opportunity. So when I say you can't outgive the giver, most of us don't give or give to the degree that we hold back certain things because in our mind, that's going to cause lack. But when you understand you cannot give the giver, you can't give out of lack, right? Because if you don't have nothing to give, then you can't. So you're not being able to outgive the giver means you'll always have more than enough because you're always giving. So it's really just a sowing and reaping principle, man. So it's just something I live by. I just want to sow good. You know what I'm saying? I want to sow good into people. I used to profess that I would be a vessel of good in people's lives. So that's my, that's just one of my mantras I live by.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, though.
Yeah.
So, Tyron, let them know where they can follow you, keep up with you, if they might want to buy a house that you develop or something, any of that.
Sure, most certainly. I spend most of my time on social media wise on Instagram. So you look up Houston Vintage Homes on Instagram. That's my business page. And then Tyrone McDaniel, the urban CEO, on Twitter. I'm on Twitter a pretty decent amount. Those two, the two best places to find me. Yeah, excuse me.
You do be dropping gems. You be dropping gems on Twitter.
A lot. What I love about Twitter, man, to me, Twitter is where you There's a couple things I love about Twitter. One, Twitter is where all the nerds go. You know what I'm saying? You can go and have engaging conversations. You're not gonna have that same conversation on Instagram or TikTok. And the other thing I love with Twitter is Twitter is if you take enough time to understand people, Twitter is like you being able to network and get into them country clubs and them other places that we historically weren't privy to. You see what I'm saying? And so again, it's a savvy tool for networking. You can get to the CEOs of companies just by being on Twitter because they're engaging.
They jumping in spaces and everything. Yep.
So it's an underutilized tool in my opinion. I mean, there's Black Twitter and stuff like that, but trust me, there's
LLC Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, money Twitter. But nah, so yeah, y'all hop on Twitter.
Nah, for real, for sure. One big segment I'm a huge fan of. I love the tech Twitter space. And I'm not in tech at all. I had my try at trying to learn how to code, and that ain't for Jared. Right. But it ain't me. But I love how they work together and how they're really genuinely trying to help each other. There's a chick on there. I might butcher her name. Yeah, and her name Kanish Tolliver or something like that. I can't remember. I don't want to butcher her name, but she hops on and she does spaces about tech consistently. She advertises them, and they're purpose based. So you'll come in and one might be about how y'all building resumes and what different resume building tips. And she got different speakers coming on, from different places. Maybe somebody working HR or something like that. But it's they're doing the necessary work to help people get into that field. And that's one of the first spaces that I've seen other than us is kind of entrepreneur, Black entrepreneur portion where they just really want to see other Black people win. That's genuinely the whole intent. That's why I'm a big fan of them.
Railroad.
Hey, for real. So y'all go check out all the Black Tech Twitter is the hashtag. If y'all go check them out, for real. And just all the Twitter spaces and stuff they be throwing, it's real.
Shout out to them, dog.
Yes, sir. Well, Tyron, brother, I want to say thank you again.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate you. I still got to get that game of dominoes now.
I'm in there.
Hey.
Huh? I had the bones.
I left them at the crib. Man, I don't want y'all coming to my city leaving bruised up.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I ain't told you. I got a set of BWR colored dominoes, son.
Who gave you that?
Amberton people.
Oh, that's
he ain't told us nothing, cool, man.
I was supposed to bring them. I could have whooped y'all ass today, but it's all good.
You was gonna go that word.
We know what that was about.
But nah, man. Thanks again, Tyron, man.
Appreciate you, man.
We're going to go ahead and wrap this one up with some few house cleaning items. As always, everybody, y'all make sure that y'all leave that 5-star
We need it.
rating and review.
Get what?
Y'all know we need that. Y'all give us that 5 stars. We're gonna continue to push out this message. It's gonna help us grow. Y'all buy our products. I done told y'all once, I'm gonna tell you twice. We got books, courses, merch, all that.
It can all be found at blackwealthrenaissance.com or bwracademy.com.
Boom bams. That easy. Bing bong.
What's that?
Y'all buy our stuff. Bing bong. There we go. Y'all fire off in the algorithm.
I'm not finna play this too.
But yeah, Jared, Kelly, y'all got anything, man?
Hey man, like they said, go to BWR Academy, man. We got a lot of stuff we brewing up in there. You can learn about retirement accounts. You can learn about crypto. You can learn about real estate. You can learn about insurance. We got professionals come and teach classes. So, and they got accountability coaches.
Yeah, get that
there.
smack in your face.
Yeah, it's gonna be
get your mind right.
It ain't gonna be nice. I promise you, it ain't gonna be
Straightness.
nice. But it's gonna be the real. So go ahead and subscribe and purchase. Your become a student in the BWR Academy.
Yeah.
One last thing, real quick shout out. I wanted to give a shout out to our brother, man, Andre
Shout out
Haynes.
to Andre, man.
Hey,
Renaissance
man.
125. Our brother dropped. Yeah, I had to burp down there.
Yeah, edit that one out. Edit that
If my boy took it, he went up there.
Oh man.
But
Straight up.
shout out to my
Solid
boy,
was on the side.
Andre. Them lamb chops was hitting, man.
Take one for the team.
Renaissance 125, man. 5 steps to getting your shit together. We recently released the episode with him. Y'all make sure y'all cop his book too, man. Shout out to my brother. It was his birthday this weekend while we was out here in the H. But yeah, man.
I got one more thing before we peace out. Hey man, wouldn't it be great if this episode had just been sponsored by you and your company?
I'm
You know
saying,
what
if you
So,
got a company and you didn't get sponsored, or we didn't become a sponsor, like, come on, man, what you doing?
what are you doing? So like, if you got a company and it's gonna fit with the message that we talk about, if it's gonna fit with the people that we have for our audience and for the products that we give, then you need to be reaching out to us. You need to be clicking the link in the description notes so that you can get your company and your brand, your platform, whatever you have, that extra boost, that extra marketing, and that sponsorship by being sponsored, or excuse me, by sponsoring the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast.
Yes,
so y'all check us out.
sir.
All right. Be looking for the show notes on that. It's gonna be a link. I need y'all to fill that out. All right. Appreciate you.
Then I'm at my
On
route.
that note,
Check on my
this is
stocks.
Black
See
Wealth
how they looking.
Renaissance
Then I'm
signing
sliding
out.
out. You start seeing your progression. You stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out?